Hey, Mr. Delphine, how you doing?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. How are you, Reggie?
I'm doing good, sir. Here we are, back at it once again for the viewers. Everything been going fine?
Alhamdulillah. All praise is due to Allah, the most benevolent, the most merciful. You know, it's just been a journey with this family court, and all praise be to Allah. Just wanted to shout you out and say that I love my mother, my father. I have love for the mother of our child, and I love our son.
So, what can we share with the viewers today? I was thinking that the family child support proceedings are very illegal, very unfair, and when you're a good man and a good father to your son, such as you are, they still want to put you through this criminalization process of acting like everyone who's on child support is just a deadbeat dad. You take very good care of your son loves you, you love him, and it's a totally unfair system. And I noticed that this system have a lot of codes and regulations, sort of like a Illuminati cult or something. So what is this new information that you can share with your viewers today?
Okay, I'm glad you bring that out, Reggie. We have the Code of Federal Regulations, and I'll show you the paper, but it's 42 U.S. Code 666, requirements of statutorily prescribed procedures to improve effectiveness of child support enforcement. So basically, this U.S. Code has the mark of the beast, the 666, which signifies the coming of the Antichrist. And out of all the numbers that the U.S. government has chosen, they've chosen this 666 mark of the beast. So basically, it's signing symbols that basically rule the world. And they've shown to put this in here as their code, which signifies the coming of the Antichrist and the satanic symbols of the Freemasons and Illuminati, which is a secret society, such as fraternal orders, such as the Masons and the so-called Bar Association, which are these fraternal groups which protect themselves and that are above the law. This code here is basically just signifying the coming of the Antichrist. It is a child support code, but if you were to research that, this would be the mark of the beast. So basically it's saying in Title A, for the withholding of income, B, procedures from which the income, and expedited administrative and judicial procedures. So
Now,
basically,
for those who would think that this is hard to believe, let me show the viewers exactly what you're talking about.
and I also say that these numbers and codes on here just happened when I printed it. But this is the 42 USC 666 code for the child support. So I just wanted to say that of all the things that they've chosen this these numbers or this numerology. I also wanted to say,
And this is a legal document that anyone can look up and they can see with their own eyes that this is a child support enforcement law. And it has the 666, 42 U.S. Code 666, the mark of the beast, right?
yes, I will say that how we could tie that in is that Satan is known as a chief deceiver. And when you go to the child support agency, they have very deceptive practices, and it's really all a fraud if you really research it, to where this is their for-profit business. But Satan, known as a chief deceiver, deceiving people in the deception that he never existed. So that's the thing, is that the greatest deception is people don't believe that he exists. Just like the child support debt, it doesn't exist. They just make up some numbers in a computer and then they say that you owe the money. But from my experience, I asked them to prove the money, prove that I owed the money by writ of garnishment, notice of levy, writ of execution, proof of an undertaking, and a proof of a valid wedding contract that I owed the debt. And they weren't able to prove that. So you would think that the child support is real, but it's really a deception, and it's really a for-profit business purported by the U.S. government, the executive branch of government where the child support resides. And I have another code, 45 CFR 302.1.2, single and separate organizational unit. So this says, the state plan shall provide for the establishment or designation of a single and separate organizational unit to administer the Title 4D plan. So such unit is referred to as a Title 4D agency. So Title 4D are the child support funds. Single and separate organizational unit means this child support is separate from the unit, meaning that this is their for-profit business. So it's affiliated with the government, but it's not really the government, and this is their arm to make money. The Title 4D is for child support, and the Title 4A is for welfare expenditures. So they use the Title 4D to pay off the welfare expenditures from the Social Security Act. This is also letting you know that it's not affiliated with the government. So this is the way they make money, because when the child support gets money from a beat dead dad, meaning the system has beat the dad down, that they get 66%, which is also numerology from the 666. Why 66%? But nothing is coincidental with these numbers. Everything is planned. It's also satanic. 66% from the federal government reimbursement and 34% from the state government. So the child support is not about the children. And there was a quote by Hitler from his book, Mein Kampf, and I don't want to cremate it, but he said something to the lines of, if you make people believe everything is in a harmony of children, they will proceed merrily, meaning that if they lie and tell you it's about kids, people will just believe it. And that's the child support, where it's not about kids. And the U.S. government, the U.S. Supreme Court stated that in the case law Blessing versus Freestone in Arizona in 1997. So this is a picture of the Code of Federal Regulations. 45 CFR 302.12, single and separate organizational unit, which really says that the child support is separate from the government. It's not the government, but it's a separate unit, which is their for-profit business or a private corporation that you could view on manta.com. The child support is a private corporation for funding. I also wanted to say and speak on Title 4D AB 1058, Child Support Commissioner and Family Law Facilitator Program, Child Support Commissioner and Family Law Facilitator. So this is online, and this is their grant program where the Child Support Commissioner is paid from the child support funds, which is also a conflict of interest and goes against the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure and the California Civil Code of Procedure, where you have this Child Support Commissioner acting as a judge impersonator where these funds are paying him. So of course he's going to be biased in this because the court in this is paying him, and this is actually a color of law proceeding, meaning that they're trying to make it seem like it's a court, but it's really a scam. The Family Law Facilitator program, when you go see the Family Law Facilitator in the self-help place in the court, they're actually signing people up for child support in that self-help center, which is also a conflict of interest, and which you could also call undue influence, because the Family Law Facilitator and the staff of the child support are forcing people into these fake contracts, coercing into them and making them give up their due process and their constitutional rights. So if these people were for the Constitution and didn't have deceptive practices, they would let people know they had rights to require a trial by jury. And they also suspend that. So in my situation, the child support staff, they were deceptive and they lied about the child support program and stated that it was mandatory. And they kept asking me to fill out all this paperwork, and I asked them why do they want me to keep filling these forms out 3 times. Leon Tam told me it was voluntary after that, so I know they were participating in fraud, and fraud knows all contracts. But since this is a for-profit scam by the government, the Child Support Department in Marin County and the Marin County Superior Court, they're all in on the scam.
Well, let me ask you, sir, did you fill out any of the paperwork?
Under the coercion I did, but once I found out that it was false, I notified them of that. I never signed any contract, but they coerce you, meaning they force you into this proceeding and try to justify why they'll steal your money. But they never, I never filled out anything saying that I consented to paying these people.
And they still end up stealing your money?
Yes. Yes.
Without you even signing anything for them to?
Yes.
So without no authority, they just go into your bank account, garnish your check, or do whatever they want to when it comes to your money?
Yes.
And can our viewers get a look at that paperwork as well?
Okay, so this one is AB 1058 Child Support Commissioner Family Law Facilitator Program, Accounting and Reporting Instruction. So this explains that it's a grant program. People think this is some kind of court, but this is really a scam. And this goes into just stating the forms how they get paid. So in this, if you go to this and look this up, Child Support Commissioner Family Law Facilitator Program, AB 1058, in the internet, this will come up and it will show you the scam of what they're running. This is page 4, and this is basically saying on here, I'm trying to see where the Child Support Commissioner is paid. So let me look at this right quick, and then I could, okay, here it is. So it says here, the funding is 66% federal Title 4D funds and 34% state general funds, subject to annual state budget appropriation.
And could you turn that around for our
Right
viewers?
here. Yes, right here.
Thank you.
So this shows the fraud that these people are purporting, because this is a grant program. They have people thinking this is a court, but this is some kind of fake color of law court, because a real court would uphold the Constitution, not rob people out of their money. I was also going to say that the process of the child support is unconstitutional and illegal. So in my experience, when I asked them to provide proof of the debt, they threatened to have me arrested and assaulted by the Marin County Sheriff, Deputy Corinne and Deputy Garcia, because they failed to prove that I owed the debt. I recused the Child Support Commissioner under CCP 170.1, which is a California Code of Civil Procedure, to recuse the disqualified judge for bias. And Judge Adams, the family court presiding judge, actually defended this man, Commissioner Longacre, who works for the Child Support Agency, and that showed that he never had the subject matter jurisdiction. So if this man is stating that he's a judge, why would Judge Adams have to defend him or write against my motion for disqualification? So to tie in all the satanic things, they make up a debt that doesn't exist. And that's the thing, though, where people believe that Satan doesn't exist. That's the greatest deception. And to tie that into the child support, that they're making people pay a debt that doesn't exist. It's also a way to target men, especially black African-American men, in a way to separate the family. So this is how the family courts survive, by attacking the men and breaking up the family. And that's the whole purpose of Satan, is to destroy the family and promote all these living that go against God, with men and men and women and women. And I don't want to really go into that as far as what that would be another video. But
well,
it's just,
this is what I wanted to ask you, Mr. Delphine. As far as your son's mother's side of the family, they spent like $60,000 to $80,000 to retain legal counsel. You, on the other hand, was in court representing yourself. So it seemed like, you know, if they spent $60,000 to $80,000 on a lawyer and you're representing yourself, it seemed like the playing field is a little bit uneven, and that they would not want you to win when you're going against paid counsel with a lawyer who's been through law school, passed the bar, and you did a lot of your legal work, which you did excellent, I must agree. You did a good job. So they just started cheating and just went past the law. When you asked them certain questions, they said you couldn't ask, had you removed from the courtroom. It was a very difficult time. But now I'd like to know, in your words, what did you feel about all that?
okay, too. So thank you very much, Reggie. You bring up a good point, a very good point. The mother of my child and her parents paid 40 to 100 grand for legal fees to the attorney. So basically, they paid the judge, going away to where they paid the attorney, and the judge and the attorney belong to the group, Marin County Women Lawyers Group, where they have a known history of fixing rigging cases under a man by the name of Michael Dufusy. So basically, they paid the $40,000 to $100,000 to slander me and fix the case in their favor. The child support, the family law attorneys could cost anywhere from $200 to $500 an hour. And this is the way that you play their game. And basically, in this legal system, it's about who you know and what you're willing to pay. And the mother of my child and her parents paid Joanna Kleppe, which is a close intimate friend of Judge Adams, to have this case fixed and rigged. I tried to point out the legal errors and the legal things they were doing, like racketeering and collusion. But you know, the appellate court, and like you stated, the appellate court doesn't want to exercise the jurisdiction to fix the legal errors of the law. So as you stated, Reggie, it's just us, it's not justice. And these courts are private corporations. It's not what people think. They're registered with the District of Columbia, and they're really for-profit businesses. But you would have to study and research that on your own to really figure out what that's about. So basically, they paid to have the case fixed and rigged. The appellate court is protecting the best interests of the judges, and the state of California is a fictitious big business because the state treasury pays them. They should uphold the law and the Constitution, but they don't want to overturn this can of worms, meaning that if they overturned it on the fraud and the fake paperwork of the child support, Judge Adams, Commissioner Longacre, Michelle Moniz, attorney for child support, they would see that there's a lot of fraud. So basically, the appellate court and the California Supreme Court staff are obstructing a crime because I've told them what the individual doing in the Marin County Superior Court and the crimes they're being committed, and they're not going to look into it. So this is back to tying to what I was saying about these fraternal orders and societies, that these societies have infiltrated the justice system, and it's all tied to these fraternal organizations like the Masons or the Bar Association, where if you're not a bar member, they're not going to look at you. So basically, me being a pro per litigant, because I didn't have the means to afford counsel, that they didn't give me the luxury, and I didn't pay money into their corporation by paying one of their attorneys. So of course they're going to fix and rig the case in a business perspective, but it's well known in the family law and the family court by Judge Adams, Judge Talamantes, Judge Kelly Simmons, and Commissioner Longacre that they fix and rig cases in Marin County. However, I notified the district attorney. They don't want to do anything about it. You know, they're silent. So the thing is that they're also obstructing the crime, because you think you go to the district attorney with evidence, they ignore it. They've ignored my affidavits. I've accused them of things. They kidnapped our son. And this is what their justice is about: corruption, racism, scams, all for federal funding. So these people are tortfeasors or interlopers. People that break the law, they're above the law. You know, they don't want to be accountable for their actions. And this is the tying into this satanic stuff in these courts, where these people don't want to be held accountable for their actions, like Judge Adams and Michelle Moniz, writing fake court orders, Chris Hahn, fabricating evidence, withholding evidence, scamming witnesses, telling witnesses not to show up, suppressing medical records under subpoena. And this is how this ties into satanic cults, is that this is the stuff they do. They put symbols on here. They fool the people. The family court, they turn the people against each other, the mother and the father. They cause wars against them so the attorneys can litigate to make money. And the appellate court and the California Supreme Court staff and judges and justices are in on this scam. And if they weren't in on this scam, they would do something about it. But they're no better than these people in Marin County Superior Court, because by God, they're judges and God has given them this duty, and they're not even fulfilling it. They've taken their constitutional oath and they're just fabricating and lying. Agencies like the Council on Judicial Performance had 1,000 complaints. They didn't do nothing about one. So this shows the hypocrisy of these people, that they're just playing games with the people making complaints, like these complaints have no merit. But it just shows the corruption, to where the state of California is funding these agencies and they're doing absolutely nothing. They're protection rackets. You go to the sheriff, they don't want to do nothing. You go to the DA, they don't want to do nothing, because it doesn't benefit them. They're all in on this scam to get the money.
Well, there's systematic racism that's going along in many different fields, from the shooting of victims who had their hands up to the choking of Eric Gardner, who was selling cigarettes. It's murder. And now they also are breaking up the black families through child support courts with these illegal proceedings. And before we go, sir, do you think that you can hold up the first paper that we showed with the 666 on it, the 42 code 666, so our viewers can take another look at the satanic laws that they are sneaking into the child support proceedings? And if you can hold it up for our viewers, and I can get a shot of it. And that's 42 U.S. Code 666, which is the mark of the beast, right?
Yes.
And this is in child support court. And thank you, sir. And we'll do a follow-up to this interview so our viewers can get a more in-depth look at this and the other satanic occult symbols that's in the child support court proceedings. Thank you. And is there anything else you'd like to say, Mr. Daffy?
Yeah, all praise due to Allah. Thank you very much. And thank you.
Thank you, and have a good night, sir.